Okay. Live on YouTube. I just did a live on IG. And so, you know what I'm saying, that's part of the new regiment this year. You know what I'm saying? We getting live more often. So I just want to test this out for the most part. But I'm gonna post the live that I did on IG on here too as a regular, as a regular video. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just testing out things. I know this is I didn't set no alarm, no nothing. I just was like, let me go ahead and try see what's going on and all that good stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and get comfy. I did the whole live on IG for like, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes, almost an hour. I didn't even spark this up, man. What up, people? What up? You know what I'm saying? I see somebody just jumped in here. But we're gonna jump right into it. Like I said, I ain't got no intro music or nothing. This is just raw. We going raw with it. Eventually though, we gonna get the setup right. But I wanted to at least test the water, see how it's going. But we're gonna be talking about Aries season. I'm gonna make this a lot more focused on transits and stuff like that. So for the most part, you know, Sun and Aries. Hey, what up, dog? What up, Malik? Happy New Year. You know what I'm saying? We doing it for real. Happy New Year. We it's exactly 0 degrees right now. So for the most part, we feeling that energy, or at least we should be. And I was just saying in the other one, yeah, happy Equinox, man. Equinox 3 coming out. It's on the way. You know what I'm saying? Equinox 3 about to go crazy, bro. You was already, I think, well, in the last, I think, on one live I did on IG, I was saying, you know, but matter of fact, this ain't about that. I ain't gonna give too much away for that. That's gonna be a separate announcement. But for the most part, yeah. You know, here 0 degrees Aries, we gotta wake up. You know what I'm saying? We gotta wake up out that dream state. We gotta make sure that we putting things in motion. We gotta make sure that, hey, everything that we was kind of on the fence about, all that Pisces season energy, we need to be transitioning our subconscious. First of all, the whole Pisces season was for healing that subconscious stuff. We needed to be paying attention to what was going on in the inner workings of those feelings and those emotions, working those things out. We had the help of Saturn, which might have felt like it was making things a little more difficult, creating a little more restriction. But really, Saturn was there to kind of provide you with somewhat of a foundation and something to kind of see and start to restrict yourself from being so bogged down by feelings and things that just don't contribute to your growth. It don't contribute to you being better, you know what I'm saying, showing up for yourself and things of that nature. So really, we needed to be using all that Saturn energy to be creating that restriction from things like self-doubt, restriction from things that look like unhealthy subconscious thinking patterns, being in the wrong feelings. And being in the wrong feelings is like being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Basically, you manifest being around and paying attention to everything you trying to not experience. You know, a lot of people who deal with anxiety and things of that nature, all that fear-based thinking and stuff comes from you not really taking control over what's going on subconsciously. And sometimes, I mean, it's easier said than done. Very difficult thing to do, especially when you in the mix of it. When you right there in that feeling, when you right there in that moment, it's like you really have to process and allow yourself to pay attention to, okay, like breaking down that feeling. Okay, what am I actually going through? What am I actually feeling? After you feel that feeling, reminding yourself, I am not that feeling, then being able to separate yourself just enough for you to create distance to say, okay, this is how I may have responded in the past, but having the right mind to be like, this is how I want to respond right now in the present. You know, and again, sometimes we be right in the mix of that. Say you at a I was watching a video, and it had a good example of that. It was like, say you at an award ceremony and your homie is throwing shade at you, you know what I'm saying? But you at your acceptance speech of a Grammy you won or something like that. It's like a lot of people, when you think about emotional intelligence, the first thing you might want to do, or you might get hit with that emotional energy, and then the first thing you want to do is run and hide or cry about it or create a scene. But that might not be the right place and time to address that feeling in that moment. So, you know, you have to be it's kind of like you have to be on your toes a little bit to know, you know, it's okay to, you know what I'm saying? It's like you got to have your own time to process things, but at the same time, you can't always, it's like there's going to be a time and place to address those feelings and get those things laid out, right? But that might not be the time and place to do that. So to have enough emotional intelligence to know when it's time to jump into feelings, but still be able to process them, that's a science in and of itself. But like I said, we're going to focus more on transits and things like that. So to start things off, with the sun moving in Aries, we know that the North Node is in Aries too. So a lot of what we able to pay attention to right now, what we should have in our awareness, is things pertaining to our spiritual path and where it is that we're trying to take things. You know, I look at everything as tools and substances we can use to basically know where we need to kind of direct our energy and focus. So right now, I was saying in the other live, we coming in on this new year, Moon in Leo, Sun in Aries, in the middle of a waxing period. So it's like, it's all about setting the tone at the moment. How do we do that though? When it comes to the Leo energy, we need to make sure we're setting the stage, but not on false pretenses, not on the need for attention, not on thirsty energy. You know what I'm saying? You trying to be seen and shit like that. We need to make sure what's being put on that center stage is something of substance. So when you jump on that center stage and it motivates you to do the Aries energy, aka spark something new, are you sparking something that look like inspiration, looking like something that you actually have as a gift and true value to the world, aka the square that the moon is making with Taurus? Or are you doing things based upon wanting to be seen, wanting to expand your pockets, monetary gain? Are you trying to do things based upon you getting the look right? And if that's the case, then here we have the two choices, whether you're planting the right seeds or you're planting wrong seeds, or bad seeds, I should say. Because what's going to happen is, the question is what's going to create momentum for you? Now, even in Aries season, Aries is all about the spark, but sometimes sustaining that spark is a whole nother energy. That's when we talking about Leo for real. So what we setting the stage on, we have to really ask ourselves, is this sustainable? Is this expression of myself true and genuine? If it is, it's going to be sustainable. If it's not, and it's based upon you feeling like you want more, or you feeling like you don't got enough attention, or feeling like, damn, I should be seen like this because, you know, I want these kind of things out of life. It's okay to want different things out of life and to have desires. That's why we're here in the first place. But the question is it the sole motivator for what you're doing? If what you're doing is based upon the validation and based upon those other things that are frivolous and will fall away and die eventually and transform, then you got to understand that whatever you're building that new self on, and I say new self because remember, all of last year, 2023 was about the new self, stepping into the new self. When we was talking about the new moon in Aries back then, we was all about, okay, this is the new self in the new world, preparing for that. It was the year 7 energy. So we was hitting them higher angles, either a higher angle or seeing that we're really on a lower angle and need to do things that don't really look like, you know, saying things that look like maybe things we want to keep secret in order to just keep, it's almost like survival mode stuff. If you wasn't in the space to hit them higher angles, you was on survival mode. And what you was doing in this new world was just kind of putting the bare minimum together just to get you through. You know what I'm saying? And again, there's even a good or bad to that, because you could have been an individual who was in that space, but was doing what you was doing to get to a better position so that you could be closer to your higher self. Or you could have just accepted where it was and continue to do what you was doing on a mundane level. But it was up to you. Now, the year 7, though, like we were saying, all the new moons was about different pieces we was adding to our new self. And then we got birthed into this new world. Now that we're here, now it's like, okay, like even the last new moon, the new moon in Pisces previously was the last piece to that. It was the subconscious, the imagination, the faith that backed and supported our new self within this new world. So now stepping into this energy, right, the sun didn't transition, but we still coming off that same new moon. The question is, how are we going to set the tone for that? What is that new self in the new world going to look like? Is it going to look like you still doing the same bullshit? Or is it going to look like you actually putting work and putting direction and steps towards something new? And that's the real question. So as you step into that new space, okay, boom, it's like the spotlight on you, aka that new moon, and aka the moon in Leo right now. What are you gonna do to express that? And again, everything, we need to be looking at this whole year correlated to how it relates to the Pluto in Aquarius energy. Pluto being in Aquarius, that's letting you know where the generational shift is going. Age of Aquarius energy, community, and what it is that we connected on. How do we stay connected? How do we stay together? What's sustainable in that space? You know what I'm saying? But before we even get into that, like I was saying, Sun in Aries, Moon in Leo. Sun being next to the North Node. So we're looking and we can see our spiritual path. Don't get scared, because that's what that North Node energy does a lot of times. It forces you to pay attention to all the unknown factors. It show you where, again, your spiritual path is going to lead. It's going to look like highly uncomfortable energy. You jumping into something you ain't never did before. But see, the Aries energy needs to be providing you with that passion to put energy towards it regardless. Like I was saying this in the other live, a lot of what we got to do now, it can't be about nobody else but you. It's got to be all about you in that sense, not in the selfish sense, right? Because of course you can go too far with that energy, but in the sense of, it's almost like you have to have that Aries concept of, first of all, nobody give a fuck about what I'm doing. It's on me. It's me. It's me and me. Not only that, but it's almost like you have to put yourself all the way in that space to acknowledge the fact that if you don't put in the work, if you don't make something a priority for you, nobody else will. It relates to that Pluto and Aquarius energy, because one thing that Pluto and Aries relate on is the fact that the energy of individuality. But see, if we don't use the Aries energy to emit that light, we're not going to have a sense of where our community is, because it's that light that kind of creates it's almost like the bat signal. You expressing yourself creates that bat signal for other individuals who are like-minded to be like, oh shit, that person's creating energy in that space. I actually see that same shit. Let me actually put my 2 cents into that. Let me put my energy into that. And then this is how you start to create that awareness, because that's all it really is. Like, we know light and things of that nature, we use these things as tools, but it's just awareness. You express your awareness. Other people who are aware of the same things connect to that. And now you have relatability. Now you have a space or an orb in which you can start to build the foundation of a community. Like-minded individuals coming together, and then starting to organize that is how it starts to look like a common goal. How it starts to look like something that we can all contribute to and start to create motion within. You know what I'm saying? So everything leads as a progression into the next thing. And that's kind of how things build up and how we get momentum and influence. And that momentum and influence is what changes the world. You can't change the world by yourself. That's why all concepts of I could do it all on my own, they're going to fall flat in the age of Aquarius. They're going to fall flat in general. You know what I'm saying? Because it has to be something. It's like you can only go so far by yourself. But I understand, though, because it starts to become highly difficult and disappointing when you go through experience after experiences of people letting you down in real life. I mean, we start from the very time we were born. You know what I'm saying? Even the concept of how they got families and shit like that. Now, it's like a family itself. A lot of times your family can't even play all the roles you need as a child. That's why they say it takes a village. A family itself, like, you know, and what makes it even worse is most households these days only got less than what is even the standard. You only got one parent in the home, or, you know what I'm saying, something like that, a situation that's not ideal. You ain't even got two parents, two sides of that energy, a masculine and feminine energy to bounce back and forth on. You already in a space where you don't have enough. You feel like you don't have enough. We always have enough. We have to, you know, say we always have enough. And part of growing up spiritually is taking the accountability to create that, you know. But as a child, it's like, damn, I ain't even got enough to get my 1, 2 together. I ain't even got enough to start with the standard. You know what I'm saying? But again, this is why this type of shit is important, because what we're doing is putting together pieces that's going to look like real generational wealth, which is next transit, when we hit the Pluto and Capricorn generation, they gonna actually have something to build. You know what I'm saying? We done came together and we gave them something that was built off of the right energies and the right substances. We was built off love. We was built off compassion, really coming together based upon us being passionate about something and seeing a real clear vision of what all possibilities could look like. Instead of what people now, you know, when you look online and you see cults and stuff like that and all these bullshit communities that come together and fall apart, it's because they was built on the wrong shit. Monetary gain, shit that's frivolous, shit that ain't got no real substance, shit like hate, shit like competition, shit like looking and trying to tear the next person down and shit like that. That's why that shit crumble. That's why that shit that's why even when you in your actual life in America, we look at generations previous and we be like, what the fuck was y'all doing? Why didn't y'all set this shit up better? Why we gotta come into this shit and deal with debt and deal with taxes and deal with all these different things that don't even make sense? Whereas when we come together now, we can start to be putting pieces together that look like it's built on the right stuff, look like it's built on more love, compassion, but not just passivity. I'm talking about love and compassion in the sense of loving ourselves, knowing who we are, being able to instill that same those same concepts and principles into our children, so that when we give what we've built to our children, the next generation, it look like something they can continue to sustain. You know what I'm saying? I think sustainability, one of those key words this year. What is sustainable? And we need to apply that to all different aspects of our life. In this new world, what's actually sustainable? Is my new self sustainable? AKA, are the concepts and things I'm coming up with and what I'm putting into work, is these things actually going to look like me getting from point? Is it going to look like something that can last beyond me? Shout out to Jackie. What up, Elheen? You know what I'm saying? Shout out all y'all. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know we on that, what was I gonna say? We on that live time. You know what I'm saying? We going live now. But real shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's all about what's sustainable, because again, in the age of Aquarius, like I was saying previously too, it's no longer age of Pisces shit where it's all about coddling each other and all, oh, no child left behind and we got to make sure everybody get a trophy. Fuck that. We need to logically point out what's intelligent and what's not. That's going to work. That's sustainable. That's dumb. That's not going to move nowhere. That's not going to bring people together. That needs to be exiled. We can't have that no more. You know what I'm saying? We need to have more intelligence when it comes to these things and be less in our feelings about how somebody else going to feel or and things like that. We need to figure out how we going to move this ship to look like it's going to some kind of promised land, not how we going to just make everybody on the ship feel good, whether we crash or not, because that's not going to do nothing for nobody. You feel me? Damn, I spent so much time on the IG live. I ain't got that much battery, but we gonna go hard until this shit cut off. But for the most part, getting back to the transits. So the moon in Leo right here is that passion. It's giving you that extra confidence, but it's about where you direct that. Because again, you can create a false sense of pride based upon you striving to do things based upon you trying to get attention, you trying to get the look right. But if the look ain't got substance, aka the moon squaring Jupiter and Taurus, if it ain't got value in it, then there's no real energy being put, there's no real magic being put into that's gonna turn into anything prosperous. It's not no real substance. You're fulfilling it with false senses of pride that is going to come back to bite you when the full moon hits, because the full moon in Libra is going to look like, okay, first thing, it's going to look twofold. Your relationship with yourself. If you building things off of false sense of pride, when you see people not paying attention the way you wanted to, or the way you imagined, or the way you seen it, you're going to start to be discouraged. You're going to start to think that what you're doing ain't shit, which it probably ain't. And you're going to start to retract at a time we need to be full force in whatever it is we trying to give birth to. Because like I was even saying in the other one, giving birth is a fight. You see women on that operating table, that's a fight. Giving birth, you got to create that space. That's some real shit. That's not no shit that just fall out. You know what I'm saying? That someone had to push that. It's a whole being birthed. So when you take that concept into what we're trying to do as a concept, yeah, it might not seem like it's that deep, but it very is that deep. You know what I'm saying? You have to put in that energy. You got to put in that work. Hold on, let me see if I can charge my shit, cause Cause I'm like, nigga, we on a roll. You can't just cut that shit off. But yeah, so we gotta be looking at this shit like, how can we create? Yeah, we gotta figure out how we can push that shit out. You know what I'm saying? So it's gotta be a fight right now. You gotta figure out how you can incorporate passion into everything you're doing. Use frustration as friction to motivate you to go harder. Not get frustrated at the things that look like it's keeping you from what you want to do. It's like you got to look at it with a different lens. Like, no, this is the fight for me to be myself. In this new world, I have to make space. So that, like, everybody got to look at everything we're doing now as, no, I'm fighting to create the right to be myself in this new world. Even though that's a God-given thing. That's not nothing that you necessarily have to fight for. But in this world, the way it's set up, damn near you do got to fight for your concept. You got to think about it. You came from a different space. You got a whole different lineage of spiritual predecessors that might not have been there. Maybe they was there, but the whoever running the world, you can see every day that the shit not catered to the shit that you came from. The concepts that you came from, they don't cater to that shit. So it's like, damn near, yeah, you gotta birth your own shit. You gotta bring something. We all bringing something new here, and that's God wants you to do that so that you can look like new possibilities. That you can look like, oh shit. God look at you like a vessel, like, oh shit, I ain't never seen that before. That looked like something I want to support. Next thing you know, boom, shit start manifesting for yourself. You can take your family up out the hood. You can go different places. You can, oh shit, I'm seeing the world. Because, you know, at this point, you are playing out as that vessel and shit like that. Appreciate you, Steven. What up, dog? But yeah, God can actually see you as a vessel in that regard, and it starts to become almost like, you know, this is when miracles happen, basically, and things start to play out in ways that you didn't even realize. Like, damn, okay, shit just starting to come together, you know, shit falling into place the right way. And again, all of this shit gonna look a little shaky at first, because right now, you know, when you, like, again, the sun next to the is gonna get closer to the north node, and the sun opposite the south node. So what feel comfortable right now is doing some more, so, you know, being a little more passive. What feel comfortable right now, again, we coming off of that Pisces energy. We just left the sun being real close to Neptune. So you still might be in some kind of illusion that, you know, let me just keep the covers over my eyes for a little bit longer. Let me just stay in the bed a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying? But the dream over. It's over. It's 0 degrees. Even though we dealing with a little cusp, this need to be that, you know, when you wake up and you roll out of bed and you get in that bathroom and you look at yourself in the mirror, this need to be you putting water on your face, washing your face, brushing your teeth, wiping your ass. And now it's like, okay, how are we gonna start the day? So to start, you know what I'm saying? How you gonna start your day? You gonna get your cup of coffee, or you gonna, you know, you gonna try to slip back in the bed? You gonna turn TV on? You gonna scroll for 3 hours and shit like that? That's gonna look like a very sloppy start to a new year. That could be the year you become a billionaire. But because you was just not feeling it yet, you passed up on the opportunity that was gonna set you up for prosperity. So it's like, we got to be very serious. You know what I'm saying? We got to be very serious about how we taking ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Not to the point where you make your life more difficult than it needs to be, or you blow things out of proportion and you know what I'm saying, in an egotistical sense. But we need to take ourselves serious in the sense of, you know, your time and your energy. And we really should have already been doing that, because when the sun was conjunct Saturn in Pisces, we was supposed to be putting together you're right. Oversleeping and shit. I feel you. Like, get up. You know what I'm saying? First day of spring, get up. What you doing? You know what I'm saying? But, you know, and that's the thing. Like, we gotta, and really it's a form of loving yourself, because it's like, if you not motivating yourself in that regard, how much can you really say you love yourself? Because again, chances are, it's like year after year, we all be saying the same thing, like, damn, like, this year done got away from me. Oh man, like, I could have did this, I could have did that. But like I was saying, like, when the sun was next to Saturn in Pisces, we was already getting hit with those things on a subconscious level. But it was up to you to really put in the work and put in enough effort and attention towards actually correcting these things. These different restrictions, we need to be restricting ourselves on things that created more doubt within ourselves, things that look like too much escapism, things that look like too much la la land energy, and not us actually getting a grip on what is the subconscious motivation of why I be in la la land. Like what be the train of thought I done caught and got on to lead to la la land in a way, and is that la la land, like I was saying before, sustainable? Is this actually looking like creativity, or is this looking like a distraction because I don't like my actual life? Because when you in la la land because you don't like your actual life, you got a problem. You got something that you need to readdress and reorganize. But if you in la la land because you trying to create or bring those things into your reality because you love, you know what I'm saying, you love yourself that much that you like, you know what, all these imaginations, I'm trying to bring these things here because my life is precious to me, and if I'm going to be spending time on this planet, I might as well be spending it being involved in doing what I actually like to do. So that's a whole different vibration than being in one that's looking like, oh, I'm just in la la land because I'm trying to escape. I'm in la la land because I don't know how to handle my day-to-day life. You know, that's when it starts to look like toxic energy. That's when it starts to look like delusional. That's when it starts to look like drug abuse. That's when it starts to look like addiction and things like that. You run into these different substances because you can't quite deal with what life is throwing at you at the moment. You know what I'm saying? And that's when things get very scary. That's when things get very out of control, and you know, it starts to get unfortunate. But all that energy aside, now that we're in Aries season, okay, wake up. See, now, again, based upon the seeds you planted previously, it's going to show whether or not what you got to work with, basically, in this energy. Do you have enough to work with? Are you in a space where you actually can say, okay, yeah, I can put the pieces together. I can do this. I can do that. Are you going to have, like, basically, it's like the motivation. Because Aries is basically just like well, let's get into it. The sun is exalted in Aries. So with the sun being exalted in Aries, it's putting a hyper spotlight on all of our actions and what we see, how we even see ourselves. If you spent all of Pisces season creating a concoction of subconscious energy, right? Not dealing with your subconscious, but allowing different things to, you know, cause more issues with your subconscious. You not really facing yourself. You not really, you know, being real with yourself. You not taking that time to kind of figure out, well, why am I feeling this way? Processing each emotion and saying, okay, what's leading me to believe this? These are belief systems of mine that are leading towards me seeing the world the way I see it. If you didn't spend that energy correcting that, the spotlight you shining basically is dirty a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the energy you might have to deal with to purify that again. You know what I'm saying? This is supposed to be a rebirth. If you actually spent that energy diving into yourself and kind of ironing out those emotions, then boom, the spotlight you shining is a lot more brighter. It's a lot more cleaner. And you actually seeing the truth of, okay, this is what I'm trying to bring into the reality. This is what I'm trying to birth. So that birthing process is a lot more clear. It's a lot more like, okay, boom, I know what I'm aiming towards. I know the goal I'm hitting. Boom. And again, you might not have all the pieces together because we still going through the experience, but at least you have the right starting point. At least you're starting the year off with something that look a little more, you know, like, okay, yeah, I might not have it all together, but I got a gist of the picture. I could kind of see more of the image than I did previously. Then everything you do at that point starts to look like a ritual and spell that support that, right? So the actions you take and what you participate in at the moment need to look like, okay, me stepping into that new energy, me actually being a little more adamant and intentional about how I'm acting, what I'm putting into practice, what I'm actually getting up and doing every day with my time. Again, that should be information you taking from what we just left as all that energy that was in Pisces. So that was Saturn, even a little bit of Neptune, because really, even that new moon in Pisces should have left us with a new sense of faith in what it is that we actually trying to create and birth into the world. So we need to use that. We need to cling on to that. Remember, we right in the middle of a waxing period, and we just left that middle point, which would be that moon in Cancer. That moon in Cancer is that transition from the springtime of the moon transit into the summertime of the moon transit. We know the summertime, we need to be fully in whatever energy it is that we want to fulfill in when it comes to the moon transit, or whatever we do, you know, even in the actual summertime. That needs to be when we're full force in whatever energy that we want to see. Moon transit wise, we're talking about fulfillment leading up into a full moon. So right now, we need to be fully diving into that cup. We need to be very clear. Again, a true sense of pride that look like you actually expressing yourself from a genuine space. You expressing, you know, again, you're not doing what you're doing for the attention. You doing what you're doing because this is who you are. This is the character you're here to present. And you actually, you know, again, when it's coming from a genuine space, it's looking like all possibilities, then boom, it's going to look like something of substance. It's going to look like you on that center stage acting your ass off. Like, yeah, this person embodied that character. And not only did they do that, they delivered a message through that character that I could see myself in. AKA, when the moon gets full in Libra, relating. It's going to look like relatable. People going to be like, oh no, I relate to what this character was that this person was putting out, because it was coming from a real place. It looked authentic. It felt authentic. It's going to look like people wanting to relate with you. Like I was saying before, twofold. It's going to be a sense of pride and security within yourself, satisfaction within yourself. Like, yeah, I know what I'm putting on that stage. I know it's true, and I know it's coming from me. So that's going to be a true sense of pride that goes beyond what pride even is. It's going to look like, you know, confidence. It's going to look like that confidence. It's going to look like something to be proud of. And not only that, it's going to be external in the sense of people going to relate to that and want to not only create balance with that, but be a part of that. And see, this is where we hit that Aries season kind of double play, because, you know, whenever we talking about a full moon, it's about being satisfied in one energy so that you don't need to cling on to it. And by not clinging on to that, naturally, the other energy is also present as well. So it's twofold. So in a sense, it's like if you satisfy with the Libra energy, it's like you already gonna have people around you that relate to you, and you already gonna have a strong relationship with yourself. So it's like, it's not going to be you needing to cling to that energy. So therefore, naturally, you're going to be able to do the other energy to the best of its ability, aka more Aries energy, which is the season we in, naturally. So that Aries energy you jump into is going to look like, yeah, I actually can birth this, because now I have the support of people around me who see and relate what I'm doing, and I have the proper relationship with myself to make it clear and make me feel balanced. If you, again, planting bad seeds and having a full moon moment, gonna look like, again, you created false pride during this time. You know what I'm saying? You false pride in just trying to be seen. Maybe you did get a little bit of attention for the next 2 days, but it wasn't something sustainable. It wasn't something real, because after a while, people start to see, damn, this wasn't even authentic. This person, he can't even keep it consistent enough in that space for it to be believable. So I don't relate to that. It's going to feel imbalance. It's going to feel like now you're going to turn into a person who feel like you gotta, again, you're going to be clingy. You're going to be clinging on to everybody. You're going to be like, yo, why aren't you liking my posts? Yo, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be in all the mix. Might even find yourself gossiping. So you're not building no real community. You just gossiping with a bunch of people who you want to be shoulder to shoulder with, but they looking at you with the energy like, damn, this person ain't even somebody I want to be around, because they hold an energy that I got to look at them like, damn, they will probably talk about me second I leave the room, because this is how they talking about everybody else. But you think it's goody goody. You think it's the energy that's actually going to get you somewhere, because why? You unsatisfied in that full moon energy. And the moon is strong. The moon is a motivator. The moon is the world we all in. So the moon gonna feel like the most enticing energy to jump in. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, the moon energy. You know, you wake up some days, you really got to pay attention to where the transits is, because the moon will make you feel like doing something that the sun ain't got no business doing. And you can even see that in real life when you look at masculine and feminine energy and connections, where a woman will have a man doing something that he ain't got no business doing. Got him in, you know what I'm saying? Got him doing something that's actually going to get him killed. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about the moon transits and you relate it to that, you got to look at it the same way. The moon will have you doing something that ain't doing nothing for where the sun needs you at. The sun is important too. The sun is supposed to be what we're acting on. Yes, the moon motivates the sun, and the sun need to carry out things that's making the moon comfortable. But if the moon is fucked up, if the woman is fucked up, if the feminine energy is fucked up, the motivation is fucked up, then your actions are going to be placed in the wrong areas. So it don't matter where you go. It's still not going to do nothing that's in a positive regard for you. It's still going to be something that leads you down the line of waking up one day and say, damn, I knew I shouldn't have did that. I knew that wasn't going to lead nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Then you be at the end of the transit like, damn, well, what was all that for? And then you got to look at your motivation. Damn, I was motivated by the wrong thing. And it led to me participating in stuff I didn't even have to go through. You know what I'm saying? You know, so getting back on point right now so that's where we're leading to. A full moon in Libra, being satisfied with our relationship with ourselves, how we relate to others, and the relationships around us. And again, it's the age of Aquarius, where this is actually very important. You know what I'm saying? It's very important, the type of connections we are able to make and sustain. I'm going to keep saying that word because it's key. The relationships we can make and sustain, because these is what become community. Before you get to the 11th house, you got to go through the 7th house. Before you even get there, you got to go through the 3rd house. The 3rd house is Gemini energy, mutable air. That's you just connecting. But after you connect, then you relate. You find a couple key individuals that you can have one-on-ones with. These one-on-ones go on long enough for you to embrace them as a regular in your community. Embrace them as somebody that, again, you have a fixed relationship with. So it's like, that's why even the dynamic of Aquarius is different than Libra, because when you think about Aquarius energy, these be the type of friends that you could not talk to for a long period of time, but when you pick up the phone, it'd be the same energy, the same way. You know what I'm saying? If you even think of within a community and stuff like that, if we had real communities, you know, you don't necessarily need to talk to these people every day, but these are people you interact with on a daily basis regardless, because they're part of your community. So it's like you might not, again, you might go weeks without talking to them specifically, that one person, but if they within your community, not only do you constantly see what they doing, you could walk outside and see what they doing in their front yard. You might wave and stuff like that, go about your day. Y'all might not talk every day, but y'all connected in a deeper sense. Y'all connected so much that y'all don't need to talk one-on-one every day, because y'all have again, what Aquarius represents, a fixed communication. It's like an organization or a job, or, you know what I'm saying, you look at a job or a corporation. These individuals wake up every day, go to the same workplace. It's a common goal. And that's what makes a community different than all these other things. It's like, it's a common goal. It's a like-minded individuals coming together. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. On the same type of time, even Saturn energy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all structured the same. Y'all wired to be building towards the same thing. So it's like, boom. It's not no question to it. You know what I'm saying? So with the sun in Aries, what we're going to be experiencing is creating that opportunity. We need to do what we do now for us, for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Do what you do for yourself, and it creates the opportunity for you to, like I said, shine that light, emit that light to attract others who's doing similar things, like-minded. So now that y'all can come together and damn near y'all be doing that individual thing within the same space, and start to organize in a way where it's going to look like community. Organize in a way it's going to look like, okay, yeah, I see how we can actually come together. It's going to start to look like pieces of a puzzle, basically, you know. And as all our individual pieces of all possibilities come together, again, we create influence, we create power in that regard. You know what I'm saying? Because it's strength in numbers, and teamwork got to make the dream work. Because all that individual shit, like I said before, you only get so far. It's like, it's a reason why you can't turn your head to see what's behind you all the way. You know what I'm saying? It's a reason why there's only so much you can really do with one body. It's only a reason why you can only hold so much with two hands. It's like, eventually you got to open yourself up to be around individuals who can pick up the slack too, who can see behind you, who can hold something else. You know what I'm saying? Then that's when you really have like real power, because then it's like, okay, if we moving as a unit, imagine how much we can get done. You know what I'm saying? You could try to build a house by yourself, but imagine if you had at least 2 other people, and how much faster that would be, how much more productive you could be, you know. But again, that's hard to do though, because easier said than done. We live in a world where that hasn't been that wasn't something that we were birthed into and trained to do. I mean, in a way, appreciate you, yo. In a way, we always that type of shit is ingrained in us, because that's like human nature in a sense, to come together. But that's the reason why society is put the way it is, and these different concepts and stuff like that, where you know, these different concepts, when you think about it, in society, are all to separate you based upon class, based upon how you look, based upon all these different things. So it's like they took what was natural and they just inverted it. You know what I'm saying? They just made it something that, you know, it's like that's how they play the witchcraft on you. They give you something that look like something that's human nature, but then they invert it. They invert it into make it more human or more man-made than it is natural. So it's like, yeah, we all have a natural inclination to care about one another and come together, but they turned it into, well, why don't you just care about your race? Why don't you just care about your class? Why don't you just care about your small subdivision and shit like that? And it created that division, when, you know what I'm saying, that creates that kind of difficulty, because again, divided we fall type shit, where all you got to do is create that wedge in between people, and as people find their differences and create more, it's like I was saying before, you build a community based upon the wrong stuff that look like classism or monetary gain, individual gain, separation and shit like that. You're gonna get that infighting. Things gonna crumble before it even get to a point to look like something that can work. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that's kind of how they inverted it. You know what I'm saying? You could see the witchcraft right there clear in your face. You know what I'm saying? So we all have to be hyper aware of that. You know, I ain't gonna say hyper aware, because everything in moderation. Like, you know, be aware of it be aware of it to the degree to know that's what is being done. So when you're moving, again, as above, so below. Salute to you too, bro. Shout out to you. As you work through this energy, you able to, you know what I'm saying, you aware of it enough to know how it's being done to you, and now we can do different things within the present to create change. You know what I'm saying? That's how you actually create change, because you're aware of it. Now that you're aware of it, okay, now what do we do that's different? What do we do that's going to look like something that we actually want to do, instead of something that was given to us as a program and stuff like that? And the majority of the world just stuck in that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it is, part of it is just unlearning things, or teaching in the sense of showing people like, oh, that is what I be in. That is what I be lost in. That's all these channels be, really. You know, all of our channels and what we be putting in work to do, we just be giving you awarenesses, the things you already know, to be like, oh, well, oh, that actually is what I be doing. Oh, damn. Okay. All you got to do is flip the switch. Again, easier said than done. So like I was saying before, these are things that we naturally know how to do, but we just have to relearn the process of it. And we have to kind of start from that ground up to be like, okay, this is how we create something different from that. But getting back to the astrology of things, no, I don't know if my phone go cut off, but it might not. I got it plugged up, but it's looking real low. But getting back to the astrology of things, when we look at you know, the sun being in Aries, moving 0 degrees now, so you know, getting off of that cusp, we got this Jupiter energy in Taurus, our expansion on what's real, what's practical, trying to take, again, we're dealing with that energy squaring Pluto. So it's like we're learning how to incorporate value into what it is that we're trying to do as a community. But with the Aries energy right now, the focus needs to be on doing what you need to do for you, and you know, being as authentic and genuine with that aspect. You know, again, not to the selfish degree of closing yourself off, but actually in the opposite, where you actually so genuine in yourself, and you so real and authentic as yourself, that you're really opening yourself up, because now you're showing yourself to people And the people that end up being around you are going to start to be the people who not only relate to that, but could connect to that. And it's almost like a vibe of you being appreciated or you being seen for who you truly are. Like I said, we in this new world as our new self. So you need to damn near reintroduce yourself. It's a new year. So it's like reintroduce yourself. Start to stand on what it is that you want to see in the world. And as you do that, you be more consistent with that, it's going to start to look like something that people can relate to. Even if we are in Aries season, it's still going to be things that look like, okay, yeah, we can come together on this. Again, through the Aquarian aspect, because what Aquarius respects is that individuality. It respects that ability to be able to sustain things on your own and not be so clinged on to what everybody else has got going on. See, if you're not confident in yourself with, you know, just being yourself flat out, that's what it's going to start to look like. It's going to start to look like you constantly having to go to this person, you constantly having to go to that person. And it's almost like you're going to have an energy of like, hey, me, look at me, look at me. And that's how it turns into Aries energy that looks selfish, that look like, damn, this person's just about themselves. They coming around everybody trying to get them a part of what they got going on instead of just being who they are and letting people naturally connect to them so that it look like something that people want to be a part of. It can seem a little confusing, but it's like, if you think about it, it's kind of like that push and pull thing, where it's like the more you try to push for something, the more it kind of gets pulled away, or the more resistance you create. You wanting something so bad, you know, you might want the connection so bad, you already want people to relate and see you, so you trying to do more to be seen and relatable, but it's like you pushing people away just naturally by that. And see, the sun being exalted in Aries, you're gonna go extreme trying to do that, you know what I'm saying? And it's gonna come off like friction. It's gonna come off like frustration, because it's gonna start to look like you're gonna start to get mad at other people for something that you supposed to be passionate about to do, whether people doing it with you or not. And that's really what I'm getting at. It's like we have to instill passion within ourselves to get up and do what it is that we want to do for us, not for nobody else. Naturally though, in doing that, it's going to start to look like something that look like it's for other people, or look like, you know, as you stay consistent doing what you're doing, just being passionate about yourself, naturally your gift becomes something for other people. And this is where we start to get the Taurus energy from. You know what I'm saying? Where you look at what the second house represents, what we have to offer to the world. We wouldn't have nothing to offer to the world if we didn't take the time to be doing what you're doing for yourself. If you wasn't in that space, focusing on yourself, building yourself up, building that confidence, being who you are when nobody watching, you wouldn't have nothing of value to give to the world. Nobody would be able to see it. Nobody would be, because without that, it's like you're not putting in enough time and energy into anything for it to be of value, to be given to other people. So we have to kind of think in that regard, like, okay, let me instill passion in myself to spark the energy, get up off my ass and do something that can eventually turn into what I give to the world. You know, so it's like selfish energy, but not selfish in the sense of really trying to be selfish. It's like, you know, what's a better word? It's like again, it's like a form of self-love, but not, you know, going too far with that. And then that's another thing too, Venus being in Pisces, exalted there too. Right now, don't get too caught up in the comfort of things. It's like we need to remember that even with that Venus, and like that Venus and Pisces energy can look like a lot of creativity. It can look like a lot of things that are beautiful, and it could look like something that we're putting together as a dream and imagination, but it can very well look like delusion. It could look like you going too far in escapism, or you doing things that look like you shine away from doing stuff that's passionate, doing stuff that's new, doing something that is you going to war with the previous status quo. We have to go to war with that shit. You know what I'm saying? We have to go to war with everything that used to make us comfortable in order to make space. Like I was just saying about giving birth. So if you're not feeling that frustration, then you got to ask yourself, okay, am I too complacent? If I'm not looking at myself like, damn, I'm frustrated, I'm not in that position I see myself in, and that's not motivating you to put in the work to get there, you might not be doing the energy the right way. If that frustration is directed towards you going to work, and that workplace is the very same thing that's sustaining your path, Again, you got to pay them bills because of the shit that you was into. You didn't create no business like Elon Musk. So you can't sit back and say, oh, I work for myself. You got to go to that job. So who you really mad at? You really should be mad at yourself. But again, you going to work in a bad mood and creating friction there ain't going to do nothing positive for nobody except for make your life more difficult. What are you really mad at? You need to be taking that same frustration, turn it into passion for you to get into a position. Oh no, I'm frustrated with myself because I ain't make a million videos yet. So let me get up off my ass and make a million videos. All of a sudden, you use that passion for something positive. You wake up and you be like, damn, I actually made a million videos. Not only can you feel confident about yourself, you actually created a circumstance that you can get yourself out of that other thing that could have potentially be frustrating you, like getting up and go to work every day. So it's like, it's like we all got to rewire our minds. You know what I'm saying? It's about rewiring it. Instead, you trying to go to the workplace with an attitude. That ain't doing nothing for nobody. You pissing other people off, pissing the people who putting you in position off. And this is the very same thing that's the reason why you have time to make a video anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can't keep the lights on, you can't buy the Wi-Fi, you can't post the video in the first place. That job ain't the problem. You was the problem. You didn't do what you were supposed to do at a certain time that lead to you being in a more comfortable situation. And that's hard to deal with. Nobody want to accept that. Nobody want to, you know, that's not fun to realize, but it's the reality. It's like, damn, okay, yeah, I was fucking up. I was bullshitting. Yeah, I could have been did that. Yeah, get on your own ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, ah, shit, it was me. I'm the problem. Yeah, when you start there, so many different things start to make a lot more sense for you. You know what I'm saying? You always got to kind of point the finger at you first because it prevents you from doing things externally that just cause more issues for you in the long run, because all of that is forms of you not taking accountability. When you look at yourself and be like, I'm the problem, God got a lot more to work with as well. God can look at you and say, okay, you a person I can trust with the responsibility of whatever I give you as power. And power really just awareness. You know what I'm saying? Awareness is your power. Being able to say, oh damn, I noticed that. Because when you notice it, boom, I can put the energy into anything I notice. When you don't notice it, you lack power. That's why knowledge is power and stuff like that. It's like knowledge, awareness, wisdom, all these different things really be your superpower in the sense of, damn, because when you know better, you do better. When you do better, ain't nothing to complain about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, missing steps. And that's all it be, missing steps. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with transits, because all of this is stuff that you should have been peeping in your subconscious when the sun was in Pisces. Now that the sun is in Aries, it's time for action. So it's not so much time for contemplation. So if you're still in a place of trying to contemplate and pay attention, you kind of behind. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to already be able to see and pay, like, oh, that's it right there. That's it right there. That's the reason I can't do that. That's the reason I'm still here. So again, being able to direct that energy is what we got to be at right now. We got to be able to direct that energy, and it's almost like a loaded gun. You know, Aries is that spark. Aries is that, you know, that first pulling of the trigger. You know what I'm saying? So when you pulling that trigger, it's like, boom, you got to be able to know what you aiming at. And if you don't, again, that's that awareness. If you don't know what you aiming at, you aimless. And it's like, that's how you miss the point, aka create sin, create unnecessary circumstances. And you again, at the end of the day, can't be mad at nobody but yourself. You know what I'm saying? So you know, it is what it is. And talking like that, it's tough, but that's what we got to do. We got to be at war with that shit, that part of ourselves that still keep us in those loops, that keep us in those same cycles. It's like, man, to hell with that shit. We in a new world. It's a new year, new time, supposed to be a new you. That new year, new you shit sound funny. It's cliche and it's goofy, but it's true. It's like, it's supposed to be true. It's, oh no, this is a real new birth in myself. Who am I now? And everything that looked like stuff that you used to do, you had war with. I gotta obliterate that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you still gonna slip up. That's natural. But even in the slip up, if you aware of it, that's the first step. You know what I'm saying? The first step is just being aware of, oh yeah, that's I'm doing the same thing again. You know what I'm saying? And so whether or not you make those corrections, that's on you. And that's everybody on their own path. So don't even feel bad if you feel like you keep making that same mistake. But just know you making that mistake. So again, you ain't gotta be depressed about it. You ain't gotta be shameful about it. Cause I don't shame is something that you can use. There's things to be shameful for in this world. But you know, when you working with yourself, if you really actually serious about your spiritual path and shit like that, there's other energies you can use to get you to a better place. You know what I'm saying? And you got to ask yourself if that's actually working, because some people be feeling shame and it really don't lead to nothing productive. You know, you got to know. Same thing even when you disciplining it's like you disciplining yourself, but even when you disciplining kids, not all kids respond to the same level of discipline. Like some kids need you to be like, no, you should be ashamed of this. This not helpful. This not good. Some kids need more understanding or a different energy to give them to. You know what I'm saying? I'm not condoning shaming kids and shit like that. I'm just saying, but some kids, again, if kid doing something that is shameful, you gotta be like, hey, some kids need you to be a little more strict and stern. Like, yo, that's not cool. Other kids might need a softer touch. Other kids might need a little more of a communication to understand why that's not a good thing to do. Some kids might need, you know, encouragement in that area to be like, look, I see what you was trying to do, depending on what it is and what type of kid you have. But this is how we got to treat ourselves too. We got to acknowledge what energies we got to give ourselves at times, because you might be trying to give yourself shame at a time you need compassion. You might be trying to give yourself compassion at a time you need guilt. Like, no, you feel guilty about that because you doing something that you're not supposed to do. So you got to give yourself that energy. Like, oh, hold on, yeah, maybe I should be a little upset about how I'm going about this. Maybe I should be a little bit more like, what am I doing? Because, you know, so many times, you know, it's all about, you know, it's all a cycle, you know, and all these energies is at our disposal to use at different times for different things. You know what I'm saying? But you know, again, with this energy, Mercury finna go retrograde. So again, right now, you need to be making sure all of this is actually very key. See, going into the new year, you got to think all those what they call them, loose ends. You gotta get them together. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get them loose ends together. Everything that was previous year stuff, old life stuff, old you stuff, you gotta tie them loose ends, because we supposed to be starting this on a clean slate. If you still got loose ends, that's going to come up to bite you. And a lot of it's probably going to come up to bite you during the Mercury retrograde, because it always does. There's always those inconveniences of things that's like, oh, damn, I been should have paid that bill. I been should have did that. I forgot to get my car checked. I forgot to get my oil changed. All these small things. And again, I'm speaking about life stuff, but it might be different things that you got to tie up loose ends on, as far as emotional states, as far as concepts, as far as thought processes. Make sure you go in and clear up those things. Take time to meditate and see, okay, yeah, I'm clear on this. I'm able to move on with this. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Here we go. You already know. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the one, man. Thank you. Appreciate you. But for real shit, it's like you got to tie up all them loose ends. So, you know, because you do not want to be caught up in something that's some old life stuff during that Mercury retrograde that you just had to go through. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be old people, you know what I'm saying? Anything. It could be anything. It ain't always people. A lot of times it just be thought processes. At least for me. I mean, I don't really manifest old people coming, you know, but that's just because of the space I'm in. You might be in a space where you actually manifest people from your past trying to hit you up and stuff like that, and you got to decide whether or not, you know, this is, you know, something you got to pursue or not. And you know what I'm saying? You need to make sure you tie up all that shit, because again, even in the energy of Aries, it's war. So you got to ask, okay, is this thing coming from the past? You got to treat it like, you know, kind of like gun at the table, like, you know, what are your intentions? What are you here for? You know what I'm saying? So old thoughts that come back, and old concepts and stuff that you used to deal with, it's time to go to war with that stuff. Like I was just saying before, it's like, okay, well, what are we really here for? What's the intention of this coming back to me in this kind of way? You know? So we want to make sure everything solid in that regard. We want to make sure we put in the focus and the attention where it's needed, you know what I'm saying, so that we don't get caught on the back end of something that we didn't have to go through if we just spend a little more time, you know, again, whether it's meditating for you or actually actively doing things, because again, you might be things that you still need to act on, things that you still ain't did. You supposed to post something, you supposed to express something, you supposed to create something, and if you still haven't, okay, how you gonna wrap that up? And you know, try to wrap it up before the Mercury retrograde hits, so that you don't have to go through any extra loops and stuff like that. But you know, as spirits, we are the creators of shit. So don't even feel like, you know, anxiety if you still got things to work on before the energy comes. It's like, look, treat it like you was a real spirit. Just do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it still got to get done. So whether or not you do it now or do it late or do it, you know what I'm saying, as long as you don't do it, you know, as long as you get it done, it got done. You know what I'm saying? Don't be too hard on yourself in that regard. But you know, getting back on point. So, you know, that's what we dealing with too. So Mercury there too, but Mercury spent a lot more time when the sun was in Pisces than it did with the sun in Aries. So again, a lot of what we might have already expressed might have been delusional and stuff like that. So a lot of what might come back up might have been stuff that you said and did when you were still in that Pisces la la land shit. So you might have to correct things. And that's another thing too, correction. People might still have you fucked up from an old life. So that might even be how you have to use that Mercury retrograde in Aries energy, as in like, no, this is who I am. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? You might have to actually put a little more bass in your voice to be like, no, this is what I'm on now. Yeah, I might have been like that in the past, or when you last knew me, when you last left me, I might have been on that type of time, but I'm on this time now. So you have to, it's almost like a reminding even of yourself of who you are in this new present moment, and not getting caught up in old paradigms that other people might be trying to put you in based upon what they believe you to be. Aries is all about that too, fighting to create a new perception. This is the initiation of how to see and feel about something. So if you're trying to birth your new self in this new world, and other people coming around trying to bring you back to something that you've been left or tried to put to death, that's where the fight is. That's where you got to be like, oh, no. This is what I'm on now. And you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know me. This is who I am. I'm showing you right now. Oh, no, but you used to be on the block. You used to be the... No, this is what I'm on now. I don't know you. You don't know me. You know what I'm saying? That's you might have to talk with that bass in your voice. So don't be afraid to be confrontational in that sense. You know what I'm saying? You got to fight for this new self. You got to fight for this new world. Your space in it. You know what I'm saying? And don't let nobody take that from you. Because the second you start to get docile and you let some of this other energy that we coming off of, is this water energy, kind of keep you, you know what I'm saying? I just let them think what they think. That's the minute you get fucked up. You get fucked over. You get put right back in that space, and you start manifesting stuff that look like old stuff. Damn, why am I still going through this? Why am I not getting past this? It's because you're not speaking up. Throat chakra magic. We was dealing with that. Remember when we was all talking about that throat chakra shit? This is where it matters now. And you got to look at it, the Mercury in Aries now. So the Mercury going through a new birth too. Mercury done been had a new year. So we should have been speaking a new language. We should have been talking spicy and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Not reckless, but spicy. Like, no, this is what I'm on. This is what I mean. This is what I'm saying. Same thing. And then Venus is going to get there eventually. And that's what I was talking about too. Venus right now in Pisces, it's all fun and games, but don't go too far. When Venus gets into Aries, it's going to have to look like self-love. But, you know, Venus has a little difficult time in Aries. But that's just because it's all about authenticity. If you're around the right individuals, that Venus and Aries energy going to be understood. If you've been planting the right seeds, that Venus and Aries energy going to be understood. If you still clinging on to the wrong things, because again, Venus exalted in Pisces, you could be doing anything for love at the moment. So you could be sacrificing your own autonomy or self and sense of self for the sake of love. So check that. Make sure you're not doing the most for something because you want and desire it, because it seemed like something you want. Don't be lost in the delusion of somebody else giving you a certain attention or energy level that, again, that's not sustainable. Somebody love bombing you is not sustainable. for self-confidence. You can't sustain your self-confidence on somebody waking up every day and giving you a certain level of attention and energy. That's not smart. That's not intelligent. Only way you can sustain self-love is if you create it within yourself. So you got to add, and same thing with drugs and shit like that. You cannot sustain happiness mentally, emotionally, or spiritually off a drug. So don't get addicted to something because of how it make you feel. You feel me? Like, these are the type of things that just, again, come with Venus and Pisces, stuff like that. You know, when we talk about those common themes, again, you might be dealing with something different. But like I said, everything go back to sustainability for this year. What can you sustain the year with? You can't sustain the year off of going to something external to make you feel good internally. You know what I'm saying? That never works. And that, you know, that's the energy in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? External and internal. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that you create your own internal production when it comes to these different things. But let's see what else. You know, also sun getting closer to Chiron. So again, this should be the time of the year where you seeing all the mistakes that you made in the past and you choosing to do something different. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it's got to look right now. It's got to look like you making better choices. And by you making better choices, this is how God can work with you even better. You know what I'm saying? God can work with you more if God see you making better choices. Because it's all choices. It's all what you choose to do. That's why it's always your fault. It's always accountability for self and what I'm participating in. And again, lack of knowledge, perish. You know what I'm saying? You can't make a better decision if you don't know better. But that's where a little bit of grace is given too. Whereas like you can't be too hard on yourself if you just didn't know better. But once you know better and you do better, you know that going back is going to lead to even more of a repercussion. So that's even why, again, you got to take yourself serious. That's why I said talk with a little more bass in your voice right now, because you got to move like, hey, my life is important and this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing to set the tone. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you get caught up in the back and forth. You get caught up in this, caught up in that, all types of shit that really don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? And this is how you fuck your own path up. You fuck your own progression up. You know what I'm saying? Right now, everything need to be looking like, okay, how can I move forward to do something that's going to sustain me? But you know, that's the energy for the most part. Let me think, what else? What else? You know, y'all know I could go on and on for real. But yeah, like I said, in this new year, that's just what we about to be doing. A lot more lives, a lot more just everything that we've been doing when it comes to each one teach one, when it comes to the pop-up, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to 717, the conference, we going extra hard with it. We bringing different things together, you know what I'm saying, even music and stuff like that, music, collaborations, you know, all these different things, going full energy with it, because you know, it's been a long time coming. But in this year especially, this being, you know, 2024, the year 8, we've been talking about this, but a lot of this year is one of those years you want to put a lot of time and energy into what it is you want to see for yourself coming, you know, in the future years to come. You know what I'm saying? You got to put a lot, like, again, 8 is all about time, and it's almost, it's like that looping onto itself type of thing. So you got to think about anything that you participating in, it's going to multiply. So why not multiply prosperity? Why not multiply something that's looking like what you want to build? And shout out to Saint Uno, man. Appreciate you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Why not incorporate that type of energy? Why not put more energy and effort towards prosperity? If you're not in that mind state, again, whatever you participate in, it's gonna fold into itself, and it's gonna multiply. You know what I'm saying? That's that whole, even when it comes to that feminine energy in that aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? When you think about 8 being a feminine energy, it's like you got to think about anything you participating in, it's going to create that vibration around you. So, you know, we have to be very wise about what we participate in. That's why this Aries season is all about setting the tone. It's like, set the tone of everything you want to, exactly, spending time in our new world. Again, what are you building for yourself? It's like, set the tone for it, you know, because if you're not setting the tone for it, any and everything can blow you any which way. And it's like, if you let that shit happen, you can't blame nobody but you. And the last thing you want to do is be at the end of this energy sitting there with nothing to show for it. And again, in the same position you was left in when we got here. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the year 7. Year 7 had a lot of more energy of us pushing things, a lot of us separating from things, a lot of us putting action into things. You could have been spending a lot of time in something, but what mattered was what you chose to separate, what you chose to embody as either a higher angle as advice, or what you chose to lay in as a inverted 7 to be, you know, now you just moving within the shadows. But the year 8 is a lot of these things, a lot more are what I'm gonna have them sell sauce on deck for the conference. Ooh, okay. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all look for the conference. That's it too. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have vendors there. So come and shop with the community. You know what I'm saying? Come and show what you got. You know what I'm saying? But back to what I was saying, it's like, you know, with this year 8 energy, it's a lot more sensitive. It's a lot more, you know what I'm saying, all these different energies, like it's a lot more sensitive. So you got to be a lot more intentional about where you direct this energy. It's just like the feminine energy in general being something that needs to be protected. You got to protect your own space. You got to protect what it is that you're trying to create as a new life for yourself. You know what I'm saying? If you don't protect that, then you put yourself at a disadvantage. You put yourself you make yourself vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Instead of making your vulnerability power and things like that, you end up making yourself each one teach one. So for the next classes, I'm gonna make a post about it. But for the most part, send an email to 717conference.info@gmail.com, and I'll put you on I'll make sure you're part of the email list when the next semester opens up, because you know that's kind of how we doing it right now based upon semesters. So you know, basically anybody who's interested, email me at 717conference.info@gmail.com, and then I'll put you on the email list. Just let me know. You know, you can just email it with your name and whatever email you want it sent to. If you just want it in that email, just basically just say your name and, you know, that you're interested in being in part of the next class, and I'll make sure you get that email. But yeah, you know, so when it comes to all this type of stuff, it's like we got to protect these things. We got to make sure that we are, you know, it's like taking accountability for it, taking responsibility for it, because nobody else will, you know. So you got to protect it for yourself, and that really in and of itself is kind of what Aries teaches too. You know, if you don't care about it, nobody else will. You got to give a fuck about it first, and if you give a fuck about it enough, you turn it into something of value, something stable, something that in Taurus season we can acknowledge as an immovable force, fixed earth. Oh damn, that's something real. That's something that matters. That's something that holds weight. You know what I'm saying? And this whole year is going to be a process of that, of what we can piece together and build on as we keep on going. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all be on the lookout for that. Also, Daestar planners and stuff like that. I'm about to open up the pre-order for that. I know, you know, I was trying to get it done before the new year, but you know, life happened. Next year we'll be on point for it, but for the most part, we about to open up pre-orders. So be on the lookout for that post, and you know, we're gonna get that to y'all as soon as possible. So you know, we're gonna have, also this year we're gonna have calendars and planners. So depending on what you want to do, it's up to you. You know what I'm saying? So you know, you decide which one you want, you know, whether you want a planner, whether shit, I say get both. Why not have a wall planner and something you can scribble on the go? You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel. But yeah, I know, bro, I know. But yeah, we're gonna get that to y'all ASAP, man. But I appreciate y'all. Damn, man, it's hard to get off the live, but I gotta go ahead and get the day started. You know what I'm saying? Got shit to make, got shit to create. I know y'all got shit to create. So much love, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.